everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, August 12, 2012. I feel strangely compelled by Sharon this week, more than I think I ever have. She is insane, for one thing, completely insane, but I actually liked it this week. I thought it was at least entertaining. I was along for the ride. I mean, she's got on this like 1950s perfect housewife dress. It's kind of long and flowy, and it has a petticoat kind of vibe underneath it. And this perfect dress is contrasted by the crazy look in her eye that she had all week. It was weird-tastic, I guess, is the only way to describe it. Let's start out though. I want to talk about the dress a little bit, because did you guys like it? What did you think of it? How are you feeling about Sharon's wardrobe right now? I think she was looking really good this week, actually. She had on some neat casual clothes. She had on white jeans at one point and kind of a long sleeve teal top that looked really nice. And the whole week I was thinking, I want to see Sharon in different hair. Have you ever noticed that her hair is always down? She rarely does an updo. It's always right down and really, really close to her eyes and just almost like solid. It's straight down and solid. And I thought, well, we need like a twist. Everybody else gets different hair. Phyllis gets lots of different like awesome hairdos, and Sharon doesn't really do a lot. And then they put her hair up while she's in this dress, and it was up, but then she had two tendrils hanging down on the side, and you could tell they were getting in the actress's way. She kept moving them off to the side while she was taking a phone call. Like, she'd pick up one piece of hair and then put the phone up underneath of it. It was bad. Why did they do that? They had an opportunity to actually do something different with her, get some fun curls in there or something, and she had this dorky, looks like a 14-year-old girl did it kind of hairdo. But other than that, I thought she looked great all week. This really was a Sharon-centric week, and as much as I've felt confused by Sharon over the past several months, it actually was a pleasure to see something new from her. I don't think I've ever seen drunk Sharon before. We've seen plenty of drunk Nikki and drunk everybody else, but I don't think we've ever seen drunk Sharon before. And really, I don't think we've ever seen this desperate of Sharon before. She's blocked herself in to this marriage of inconvenience, marriage of convenience that's become an inconvenience. There's no other way to describe it. She's not in love with Victor, and she knows that Victor is still in love with Nikki. And I mean, to top it, she knows that Victor married her only because Jack and Nikki were getting married on the same day. It couldn't be more obvious. And now Victor is nowhere to be found. She is alone in a new marriage on her wedding night. And she just decides to get absolutely smashed. I mean, she's throwing back Victor's tequila like there is no tomorrow, having herself her own little wedding reception at the ranch, and she decides that she's gonna go crash Nikki and Jack's wedding reception because she figures that that's where Victor is. So she shows up at the wedding reception and makes an absolute ass of herself in front of everyone. And as much as everyone who was at the party was taking little bitty jabs at her and have probably taken little bitty jabs at her throughout her lifetime, I don't think anybody there wishes any specific harm to Sharon. I don't think anyone dislikes Sharon harshly, and I think it was difficult for everyone to see her there disgracing herself. It was disgraceful. Billy was actually really funny during the whole thing. So everybody had just varied reactions. Some people were like, ugh. Some people were like, ooh, Sharon, I'm feeling sorry for you. And some people were like Billy were just like, hey, it's a joke. You know, it's pretty funny. And but you know, aside from the fact of the character doing this desperate move, it was funny. It really was funny. I enjoyed that scene so much, especially the little jabs that were taking place between Nikki and Sharon. And Nikki actually walks up to Sharon and says, ugh, you're drunk, obviously. And look, Sharon, I know that you really want to be me, but getting drunk is not the way to do it. Ah, that was good. And then Sharon countered by saying something like, do you see dollar bills coming from my G-string? No, I don't want to be you. It was just so good. And the whole time I'm noticing that Sharon is teetering dangerously close to the edge of the swimming pool. And I thought, ooh, girl, you're getting a little close there. You're gonna fall in. I honestly thought she was just gonna fall in, but no. She had a little help into the pool. Nikki full on pushed her. I don't blame her. I was so happy to see Nikki do that. Someone needed to do it. I mean, Sharon was there insulting Nikki and crashing her wedding reception. Nikki can't even have a few moments of peace without Victor or someone associated with Victor, his new wife, what we call it, the hair-chewing bride, you know, comes in and crashes her wedding reception. She's there trying to celebrate with everyone that she loves, and here this disruption has happened. And I was surprised that Tucker even went along with Sharon. He showed up when she was back at the ranch getting sloshed, and he realized she's gonna try to make her way over to this reception whether I'm here or not. I don't want her driving drunk, so he just drives her. But it made him look really, really bad, especially since Jack is his ex-brother-in-law. Tucker's been divorced from Ashley for what, a couple of weeks maybe, and now he's seen with this drunk Sharon Newman. Just being seen with her, it kind of knocks your social status down, I think, a couple of pegs, because nobody likes her. But he was there kind of facilitating. I was a little surprised to see him helping her as much as he did, but at the same time, I thought it was nice of him to help her. Sharon has no one. Sharon has not one single ally, and Tucker was actually being there for her. He was being so nice to her. And as we all know, anyone who's nice to Sharon, shows Sharon even the least little bit of attention, she's going to throw herself at them. And that's exactly what she did. After the whole pool incident, the wedding reception crash, they go back to the ranch, and Tucker's just sitting on the couch with her. She looks like a drowned rat, all wet, soaking wet, feeling just, I think, starting probably to sober up and feeling horrible about herself. And Tucker's just being supportive, and she just lunges over. She literally throws herself on him and starts to smooch him on the couch. And I think Tucker's really never one to turn down Poon, but I think when it comes to sleeping with someone like Victor Newman's wife, he was sober, and I think his better judgment got a hold of him at that point, and he sort of nicely pushed her off and decided not to make a big old deal about it. But I don't know, what do you guys think about Sharon and Tucker? Is there any possibility for a couple there? I don't know. Tucker's too fresh off of his divorce from Ashley, and Sharon's just gone through men like water. I mean, I want her to be with someone, but I'm not sure if Tucker is it. Tucker is kind of good at reeling women in, because when he met Ashley, she was nuts. She was beyond nuts. It was after she lost the baby. She was really in a bad spot, and Tucker was able to help her get her life back on track. So I don't know, maybe he could do something for Sharon. I just hate seeing her miserable. I do. That's what's the hardest thing about this, because Sharon doesn't deserve that. Sharon doesn't deserve to be miserable. No one deserves to be miserable. I'm not saying that Sharon hasn't made her bed and now she needs to lie in it, but at the same time, I feel sympathy for her. It was pretty crappy that Victor left her on their wedding night, and that's exactly what he did, by the way. There was a little bit of just a question about what exactly happened to him, but at the end of the day, he basically just said, screw it, and decided to ditch her. Decided to ditch his whole life, for crying out loud. It's classic Victor. It's so Victor-esque. I mean, everyone in his family is worried about him. Everybody's wondering if something has happened to him, but does he care? No. He just disappears. Disappears without any warning, any word, nothing. We're all wondering what happened to him. Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you here. There were a few moments where I thought, is there a possibility that Sharon did something to him? I don't want to believe that, but at the same time, I'm thinking, who knows? Maybe she's got him tied up somewhere. Maybe she's got him stashed away. He's in a cage, locked in a cage or something, just while she goes out and does her own thing. I don't know. I don't even hardly know this Sharon anymore. So for all I knew, that could have been a possibility. And not to mention that there was this issue of the prenup. All of a sudden, Avery's looking for the prenup and it's missing, and Avery asks Sharon if she knows where it is, and Sharon just straight up lied. She said, I don't know anything about a prenup. She acted like she never signed it, like she never seen it, like she never heard of it. And I'm thinking, why lie? Why even lie about that? It's just, she's, at this point, Sharon's just bitter. Whether Victor's dead or whether Victor has left her, it doesn't even matter. In her mind, she knows. She knows that he does not love her and that he has just ditched her. One way or the other, he's ditched her. Her instincts have told her this. However, Nikki is very, very concerned. Very, very concerned about Victor. On her wedding day, very, very concerned about Victor. And she decides to get up in there. As soon as it clicks with Nikki that Victor is missing, she's got to find him. She has to try to search him out. And Nikki got up in the situation as if she was still Mrs. Victor Newman, still the lady of the ranch. She busts up in there and decides to start questioning the staff. She called the police, had the police wiretap the house. Nikki's instincts are, I mean, I understand where she's coming from. She's thinking, well, would Victor leave Sharon? Sure. But would he leave his horse? Impossible. Clearly something has happened to him. Victor would never leave his horse unattended. Not to mention she found his phone out on the grounds of the ranch. She's out at the stables talking with Buck, the old ranch hand. This is in Wisconsin. Why is he a southern ranch hand? That was kind of cliche. I kind of wish that I wished Y&R was sort of more Dallas-esque in a way. I think back in the day, Y&R did have that sort of Dallas kind of element. The stables were more of a part of the show. And by the way, this is just totally unrelated, but does anybody notice how pretty much every time Nikki goes to the stables, she's got a braid in her hair? I don't know what it is, but they're like, okay, it's a stable scene, braid. I'm thinking braid. Apparently, the braid is the appropriate attire for the stables. But I like being at the stables. It's got an interesting vibe. We're there a lot lately. When Y&R sets up a set, we never leave it. We're there all the time. We've been at the stables at least a couple times a week. Same thing with Trumbull's. They set up the bookstore set and now everybody's at the bookstore. the staff is like, we gotta use this. We gotta make the most of these sets while we've got them up. But anyway, Nikki finds Victor's phone, and she realizes she's of two minds. She thinks, oh no, this means Victor left his phone. That's not good news. There could be something wrong with him. But then it's like the angel and the devil on her shoulder, because then the little devil on her shoulder takes over, and she decides to send a text message to Sharon that says, marriage was a mistake. It's over. And Sharon believes it's from Victor, which pretty much at that point ruled out Sharon having done anything to Victor, since she's clearly so upset by thinking that he's sent her, that he's ending their marriage over a text. And Nikki's just sitting back enjoying it, and so am I. I'm laughing and just smiling at the scene, especially as soon as Nikki sends the text, Sharon gets it, she's all upset, and then they show another scene of Nikki and she's just got this smile on her face like, yeah, I did it. That was thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyable. And as soon as Victoria for some reason decides to go down to the stables and find Nikki, and Nikki confides in Victoria that she has just sent this false text to Sharon from Victor, ending their marriage, and Victoria was loving it too at first. It was funny. I actually really liked the dynamic between Nikki and Victoria. I want to see more of Nikki and Victoria. They're fun together. They just have a good mother-daughter dynamic, and it was cool. But of course, like one commercial later, all of a sudden Victoria gets a conscience, and she realizes that, look, it's all gonna come out sooner or later. You've got this big investigation happening about where Victor is, and they're gonna realize that this text was sent, and you're gonna have to cop to it sooner or later. Plus, it's mean. It is mean. And Nikki, if you're so, if you're on your honeymoon technically, and you're still messing with Sharon, if you got no problem with her and Victor moving on with their lives, and if you're truly moving on with your lives, what you so worried about Sharon for? So Victoria convinces her to just go ahead and fess up to the whole thing. But meanwhile, back up at the main house, Sharon's there with Tucker's her best friend now. Tucker's just hanging around at the house. He's her little sidekick. But they're talking about the prenup, and Sharon starts to really sink in that Victor is now leaving her. And if Victor's leaving her via this text, that means that the marriage is probably going to be annulled, which means they're not technically going to get a divorce, which means she's not really going to get any money out of this whole deal. And I was surprised personally that that's where Sharon's mind jumped to. I would have thought that it would have been more of an emotional reaction, as if I'm alone, oh no. But she immediately just became concerned that she wasn't going to get a nickel out of this whole deal. And that's what surprises me the most, because I don't know when Sharon started needing money. I'm sure, got a settlement from Nick. I'm sure that Victor gave her money when they were married the first time. She doesn't really have to worry about money. So that didn't quite click with me as to why all of a sudden Sharon's a money grubber. But then she said something that just made it start making more sense to me. She said something like, if there's no prenup, then I can divorce Victor, which I don't know why an annulment is now all of a sudden off the table, but she can divorce Victor, take a good sum of money, and possibly get a chunk of Newman Enterprises, get a chunk of the business. And what she said was, I'll be a force to be reckoned with then, instead of just being one of another woman that Victor has humiliated. I'll be a force to be reckoned with. And that's when I realized it. I think that for Sharon, all of this is really about control. It's about having control over her life. And really, that's kind of what money facilitates. It's not the actual money itself. It's that money makes things easier to have control. Money equals control. And Sharon is someone who has never really been in control in her life. She's always been second fiddle to a strong man, whether it was Nick or Jack or Victor, and which is funny because this is something that Sharon and Nikki actually have in common. And I think Sharon and Nikki actually have a lot more in common than they're willing to admit. And Victor is way more predictable than he is willing to admit, by the way. The last scene of Friday's show had him wandering around the port of LA, just walking around on kind of a boardwalk, kicking a stone or whatever. And I'm not sure if Victor had just got off a boat, that he jumped on a ferry or something, which, I don't know, maybe he hitchhiked or something, because there's no waterway that goes from Wisconsin to LA. So I don't know if he just got off a boat, or if he was waiting to get on a boat, or if he was thinking about getting a job working on the boat and just ditching his identity and all of a sudden becoming a new man a la The Farm. Or, I don't know, maybe he was thinking about jumping in the water and ending it all. I don't want to completely gloss over Nikki and Jack's relationship. I don't want to gloss over their wedding, because Nikki and Jack aren't Sharon and Victor. Sharon and Victor, it's pretty obvious that there's no chemistry, no nothing there. Nikki and Jack, they are a different story. They have problems. There are obvious reasons why their relationship, in my opinion, probably won't last, but at the same time, there is still love, there is still respect there, which is something Victor and Sharon certainly don't have. And Nikki and Jack had their after-wedding bed scenes this week, and they were very lovey-dovey, and I thought it was very moving, because Nikki is saying to Jack, you stood up for me. It's not even just that we had this wedding, but you mustered up the strength to stand up again for me. And I think about how that is contrasted with Victor and Nikki's relationship, because Victor does nothing for Nikki. Jack stood up for Nikki. Victor does nothing for Nikki except give her grief. That's all he ever does. And I also, as a longtime YNR fan, and understanding a significant part of the history of the show, even when I wasn't, even before I started watching the show, I know and am cognizant of the fact that Nikki and Jack, this is not their first time being married. Nikki and Jack never really had their chance. Victor has always been an element of their relationship that couldn't really be overcome. And, I think about how if Nikki and Jack, if their child had lived, what would have happened? I think that it would have changed everything, because if you're a newer viewer and you're not familiar with the history, Nikki and Jack were married many, many years ago, and there was some kind of altercation, I believe, between, I want to say, Nikki and Victor, where she fell down the stairs. If I'm wrong, if you're a veteran viewer, please do, and you recall the storyline, please call in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was an argument between Victor and Nikki where she fell down the stairs. He didn't push her or anything, but she fell, and she miscarried their child. That is for certain. Nikki miscarried her and Jack's child, and that affected their relationship. They were really never able to get on track after that, I believe. And so I think about what would have happened if Jack and Nikki would have shared a child, because Nikki always comes back to this excuse of, Victor and I have children together. We have grandchildren together. Of course I'm concerned about him. How would that story be different if Victor wasn't the only man she had children with? Just some food for thought, some things that I've been thinking about. Ultimately, at this point, I worry that Jack and Nikki's relationship is not going to last, because I think, is Jack really in love with Nikki, or is he just grateful for her support during this really hard time where he was going through the recovery? And for that matter, is Nikki really in love with with Jack, or is she just still running from Victor? Is she just taking Jack as a runner-up? I can't ignore the fact that on their wedding night, Nikki runs out to the pool while Jack's sleeping to use her cell phone to call to try to locate Victor. That's significant. There should be at least some sort of cognitive dissonance there. Of course, Nikki doesn't want anything bad to happen to Victor. They share a history. There's a reason why she should be concerned about him. But on your wedding night, man, you need to just put it out of your mind, and you need to focus on what you have in front of you. Victor is Sharon's problem now. Not to mention the fact that Victor is a big boy. Victor can take care of himself. He doesn't need you to constantly look after him. It's not your job to constantly look after him. And it worries me for Jack and Nikki's relationship that it's never going to be any different. Why did she run out to the pool to call him? Why didn't she call him from the house? Was it because she was trying to keep that from Victor? And then the next day, she goes out to the ranch. And she was honest with Jack about that, which I did appreciate. But I don't know, Jack seems to kind of know what he's getting into, and which just makes me concerned. It just makes me concerned for the future of their relationship. On the plus side, I really have to note that Nikki's after wedding day outfit was superb. Nikki looked really good this week. She was wearing this black top with kind of a white, flowy, really light and airy jacket, and the sleeves were cut in just sort of like a ruffly, sort of florally, kind of flowy way. It just looked really good, and she had this big, round diamond necklace and just sat right on her chest, and she looked just awesome. I mean, Nikki looks like she's happy. I honestly believe that Nikki feels happy when she's with Jack, but at the same time, I know and believe that Nikki will never truly be free of Victor. Never! So Victoria is furious with Billy for posting a video of Victor's wedding that Victor handed to him on a silver platter. Why wouldn't Billy post it? Somebody was gonna post it. I think that it was pretty obvious. And Victoria actually said, she's so mad about this incident, and she actually said to him, Billy, are you looking for another way to screw my family into the ground? I'm sorry, Victoria, but you're gonna have to just wait just a damn minute here, because it's okay when Billy does it with your permission, but it's not okay if he does it on his own. It's okay if he talks about certain parts of your family, but other parts of your family are absolutely off limits. Victoria, you're the one that gave Billy the green light to move forward with this story about Phyllis, your sister-in-law, your brother's wife, but yet it's not okay for him to post a video that Victor gave to him. To me, that is just very hypocritical of her. Personally, I think that it just goes to show that Victoria was okay with Billy posting a story about Phyllis because of the personal vendetta that she has against Phyllis back from when Phyllis took Lucy away from her. And even Phyllis and Victoria, well, Phyllis went to confront Billy about the story, everything that he's trying to spill out about her, and Victoria was there backing Billy up, saying stuff like, you know, because Phyllis's argument was, I have to think about my family. You're posting a story about me, and that affects my family. And Victoria was in the background quacking about, hey, were you thinking about Kyle when you were posting stories about Diane? Were you thinking about Noah and Faith when you were posting stories about Sharon? Absolutely valid point. I totally agree with Victoria on that point. But let's also not pretend that you don't have a personal vendetta against Phyllis for what happened with Lucy. I absolutely think that that's what it was. She seemed to have forgiven Billy for that part, but I just don't know. It seems like it's causing problems in their relationship. I actually liked the Restless style TV show. I thought it was pretty funny and fun. I was surprised it was a live show. How many shows are live? Like, there are no shows are live anymore. Maybe a telethon or something. But I thought the whole thing was different. It was snarky and it was fun. And the only thing I just totally didn't get about it was, why is Abby on the show? I think she was involved somewhat in the development, or she brought the people to Billy or something like that, but she's not at all an employee of Restless Style. And the other guy, I don't know who the other guy was. He seems like he's kind of a reporter. I've seen him around town before, but he also didn't work for Restless Style. So it was weird. I guess I was expecting to see employees there, and Abby certainly isn't. But it was a good thing that Abby was there, because Billy had promised Victoria that he wasn't going to talk about what happened with Victor and Sharon. And Abby decided, look, I'm not going to let this TV show be boring. This is my big comeback. So I'm going to spill all of the tea. And she did. She told everything. She gave behind the scenes details. She told everything. And I was glad. I mean, she told the whole story. It was funny to watch Billy squirm on live TV. And I also just thought, like, for me, I loved also the scene with Harmony. I loved the interaction between Abby and Harmony. And Harmony was just being all camera shy. She was really nervous about being on TV, and Abby was being really nice to her. She just said, hey, it's all gonna come to you when you're on camera, and if you get stuck, just like flip your hair, strike a pose, and you're gonna be just fine. And I loved that all of a sudden Billy, in order to distract away from Abby's blabbing about Victor and Sharon, Billy pulls Harmony into the scene, and Harmony's all of a sudden just mortified. She's scared. She's so nervous. And then she kind of probably looks at Abby and just remembers what she said. And then Harmony, so cute, just kind of flips her hair, strikes a pose. It was awesome. I have to say, that was probably one of the awesomest moments of the week for me. I really like Harmony. I thought it was really cute. But the whole show had its hitches, had its ups and downs. Billy is trying to move forward with the Phyllis story, but there's a gag order, and he was nervous about what he was going to talk about. At the very last minute, he decided that he was going to talk about it. The gag order got lifted. He decided he could talk about it, and the problem is he doesn't really have a whole lot to say. He doesn't really have a whole lot of dirt on Phyllis, so he kind of had to bluff. He made this big statement of, oh, I've got a whole lot more coming up with the Phyllis story, so tune back in. Total bluff. He has nothing on her. And now I just honestly hope that he really enjoyed himself on that one episode, on that one show, because he's in really hot water now. Billy is going to need to go find Tim Reed, or go find some other piece of evidence against Phyllis, or the next episode of Restless Style is going to be a big old lame duck. Phyllis, tell Nick. Will you please just tell Nick the truth? I don't understand how you can expect anyone to be honest with you when you can't be honest with them. I don't understand how you can expect anyone to continue to support you when you're hiding things. That's all you do. You hide things. And not only did you not tell Nick the truth about what was happening with Dr. Reed, that he was blackmailing you, but you blatantly lied to him. And Nick, I just feel sorry for him, because he wants to trust her, he wants to support her, but she's not making things easy. He caught her in a lie about where she went after Nikki and Jack's wedding, which was to see Dr. Reed. He caught her in a lie about where she went the morning after to go see Dr. Reed and pay him off. And then she acted completely offended that Nick followed her to the bookstore. He knows your game. If anybody's got your game, it's Nick. He's been dealing with it for years. Of course he followed you to the bookstore. You think you're all sneaky and then you're going to be able to get away with it, but he knows that you're lying, and I don't blame him for following her, and I couldn't believe that she had the gall to all of a sudden act offended that he did. Nick not only has you to protect, he has himself to protect. He has a daughter to protect, and I understand why Phyllis feels that she can't confide in him. I understand her perspective. He threatens to leave. He does. He has this threat of withholding affection. Nick does do that. He's done it with Sharon. He did it with Phyllis. He threatens to remove affection. He's guilty of that. But at the same time, why would you even want to keep him, Phyllis, when it's based on a lie? I just don't understand why you would rather borrow a huge amount of money from Summer's trust fund rather than trust your husband with the truth. That, I'm telling you guys, that had to be a new low. Borrowing money from her daughter's trust fund without permission from Summer, without permission from Nick. She paid an exorbitant amount of money to a blackmailer who's just going to keep coming back as soon as that money runs out. That's how blackmail works. It doesn't make it go away. Of course, she eventually had to confide in Nick. She had to tell him the truth once he caught her. She was forced to tell the truth as soon as her back was against the wall. And this is the thing that ticked me off the most was during that conversation back at the apartment where she was finally telling him the truth. She tells him the truth, and then she pulled this whole hold me thing. Oh man, you guys, I wanted to smack her. I really did. She has just dropped this bomb on Nick, telling him that she lied to him and that she borrowed this money from their daughter's trust. And she pulls the, can you just hold me, please? Phyllis, I'm sorry. Go screw yourself. It's not all about you. It's not all about you. How can you expect to screw someone over and then be like, can you hold me, please? I'm sorry, but no. No, girlfriend, no. Nick, as soon as she said that, can you hold me thing, Nick just turned around and walked right out. And I don't blame him. I can't blame him. I wouldn't stay with someone who was lying to me. And even if it doesn't seem like he's leaving the marriage or anything, but I would certainly be like, I need a moment. No, thank you. Why aren't you offering to hold him, Phyllis? Why is it all about you? You just lied to him. Doesn't he deserve some comforting? What's in this relationship for Nick other than turning around and sweeping up your mess every time that we turn our heads? Nick is gonna go looking. Nick cannot stay faithful. As soon as something goes wrong in his marriage, Nick is off looking. And that's exactly what he's gonna do, I bet you. And he's not gonna have trouble because he's looking really good right now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Nick looks good. First of all, I like that Nick is getting his brain back and actually standing up for himself and actually thinking about things. Second of all, like, his hair looks so good. This is exactly where I want his hair. I hate it when they buzz it. I hate that. His hair is exactly where I want it. Short on the sides, length on top, sexo, sexo. Love it. He was wearing a cute little outfit too. It was like a blue blazer and a light blue shirt, and then just cute little thick striped tie. It was like blue, light blue, and then some red in there. He just looked like a prep school student. He looked really good this week. I don't know who he's gonna go searching for comfort from. I don't know if I doubt it's going to be Sharon. I think he's fed up. Everybody's fed up with Sharon. There can be nothing appealing about Sharon at this point. I don't know if it's going to be Avery, maybe. They're both kind of on the same side of being fed up with Phyllis's crap because Phyllis went to Avery this week and told her exactly what she did with the money, that she had tried to pay off Dr. Reed and that Nick was trying to stop the funds transfer, and Avery was just like, hold up. You did what? And without really even hearing the whole story, Avery just said, I quit. I'm tired. It was just right away. It was immediate. I am done. How can Avery help someone who won't help themselves? I mean, that's like a recurring theme in my life and probably everybody's life. You can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. So I don't blame Avery for quitting. I don't think she's abandoning Phyllis. Phyllis doesn't make it easy. That's the theme of the week here. Phyllis makes it harder on herself and everyone else around her. And as Avery said, I'm going to continue to be your sister, but as far as your lawyer, nah. No thanks. I'm all about defending people who were innocent. Thank you. By the way, total sexy side note. Did anybody else detect just a little bit of a spark between Avery and Ronan this week? Paul wants to plead guilty. Paul feels guilty. Paul has got this whole self-hatred, self-punishment thing going on, and he doesn't even want to go through the trouble of trying to find evidence to prove himself innocent because he doesn't feel innocent. And he's not innocent. He's not guilty of the crime that he committed, but he doesn't feel an innocent person. He killed his son. It was an accident, obviously, but that's the kind of guilt that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life. That ain't just going to go away whether you get out of jail or not. But Paul is very into punishing himself this week. He's trying to convince everyone to just let the case go. He wants to plead guilty. And he actually fired Chris as his attorney. She's sitting there insisting that we keep trying to go forward with proving his innocence, and he just actually, in a very, very sad scene, said to her, I miss my friend. I just want you to be my friend and not my attorney at this point. What he's going through inside, the guilt that he feels inside, is so much more than what's happening with the actual trial itself. And it actually did make me cry. I got really teary during those scenes. It was very, very sad. I still feel like I'm on the emotional journey with Paul. Unfortunately, I also feel that this story had so much potential to be awesome, and now it's just sort of stuck. It's stuck in the mud. I'm so glad that as soon as Avery dumped Phyllis's case, she decided to take Paul's case. And I'm really glad because Eden is certainly not helping. It's not her fault or anything, but I just think, can Eden just remember already, please? It's being drug out. I understand that she feels bad, and I feel bad for her that she feels bad, but at the same time, I also kind of liked her idea about taking a brick to the head. The brick to the head idea, to jog her memory, would have actually been interesting. There would have been something, oh, hey, there we go, you know. But instead, at Heather's insistence, or Heather and Christine's kind of light urging, Eden decides to undergo hypnosis. And I'm so curious to know what you guys thought about the hypnosis scene. It was dorky. It definitely had its kind of lame-o elements. The thing that stuck out the most to me was, does Eden really need to have two of her ex-lovers in the room while she's undergoing hypnosis therapy? Kyle and Daniel were there, not to mention Chris, and I'm thinking, awkward. You're not really comfortable with Chris, and you don't really know Chris, and Kyle and Daniel there, she expressed a lot of trepidation as far as even doing this, because she was afraid of what was gonna be found in the deep recesses of her subconscious. Personally, I would want to be alone with the therapist. I wouldn't want two of my ex-lovers hanging around in the background. Who knows what I would say? And also, Kyle kept jumping in on the whole thing. Eden's going through this process of trying to recall that night. She's going back to that night where Ricky tried to rape her and kill her. And she's screaming with agony. She's obviously uncomfortable. This is a horrible, repressed memory. The reason she can't remember it is because she's repressing it because it's so horrible. And Kyle keeps jumping in there trying to stop the whole thing. And Kyle, can you just let this happen, please? I think I don't like Kyle. I know. He just, I don't know, he looks too old for the part for one thing. And the character, well, again, it's an instance where YNR hasn't really done any character development. I have no reason to like Kyle. I have no reason to feel anything for him. All I wanted him was out of the way in that scene. I wanted the hypnosis to actually do something. I wanted something to be revealed, not just, I'm uncomfortable and afraid of Ricky. I wanted more. I was hoping for more. And I hope that they will try another session, man. Try another session. Do something else. Get this memory thing taken care of. It's dragging it out. It's just dragging it out. Oh, I almost forgot, you guys. I read an update. I don't know if it's completely official, but I read a report that Daisy is back filming scenes, that the actress who plays Daisy is back filming scenes. So that could be what ends up getting Paul off the hook, possibly. Daisy will show up and, I don't know, testify to what happened, and there's also this little part of me that thinks if Daisy is coming back, can Ricky be too far behind? So, you know, in a way, I don't really even care if Eden recovers her memory in that, right? Because I want Daisy and Ricky to come back. I guess I never really realized how much everybody hates Daisy. It seems like I read somewhere too that she got some kind of a Razzie Award or something. People seem to really, really hate the character of Daisy. I'll admit, Yvonne Zima is not the world's best actress. There were definitely some scenes where I thought, nerp, nerp, you know, that's not so great. But I think she's interesting to look at. I like having some kind of villain character. That'd be nice. Some villain somewhere. And I am just salivating at the possibility that Ricky might come back. That would be so amazing. Ugh. But in the meantime, you know, there's other little elements of the Paul storyline that are interesting to me. I thought it was interesting. Daniel actually ran off after Eden's hypnosis session to go find Heather and tell her the news, because Heather is absolutely beside herself with anguish over what's happening with her father. And all of this actually is making me like the new Heather. I think that YNR is doing a good job of character development there. I actually like the new Heather. I think that the actress seems a lot more comfortable than she did at first. I think she's starting to seem a lot more natural in the role, and I don't know, I'm kind of feeling her with Daniel. I am about 100 times more interested in Neil and Harmony's romance than I am in Adam and Chelsea, obviously, Nikki and Jack, Phyllis and Nick. I just think that they are a really cute couple together. I think YNR has done a good job of making me want that relationship. It's been building for a while. Harmony's been on the scene for a while, not to mention they have a past, and there's a genuine chemistry between the two actors. I feel that there's something deeper going on, and I'll admit there is the element of Harmony reminding me of Drew. Neil and Drew had an epic storybook romance, and Neil has been with a lot of women since Drew died, quote unquote. I'll never believe she's actually dead. But I think that Harmony is the closest person that he's really come to connecting with since Drew. Harmony is just really laid back, really relaxed, and she has a really good way of pulling that part of Neil out, which was exactly what Drew did. Neil has always been Mr. Stiff shirt and tie and suit, and Drew was so good about making him try new things and joking with him and seeing him laugh, and I feel that with Harmony and Neil, and I just really like them together. They've been a couple that I've been watching and have been looking forward to their hookup. And not to mention that neither of them are really hung up on anybody else. They're both emotionally available to each other. So it's kind of a good thing. I'm really enjoying it. They had their first date this week, and they were both trying so hard. It was pretty much the worst first date ever. It was complete with a location mix-up. They both thought they were meeting at a different place than they were, and once they got to where the date was supposed to be, they had this bumbling waiter, spilled ice water all over Neil, couldn't get their orders right, and just Harmony broke the heel of her shoe. All kinds of bad things just happening to them on what was supposed to be a really good day, and it was cute. I thought it brought them together. They decided ultimately, we're just gonna be ourselves. We don't need to be anything. We don't have to categorize this as a first date. We can just be ourselves and hang out, discover what it was that attracted us to each other in the first place. And they had this moment at Crimson Lights where Neil leaned over the table and just gave her a little smooch on the lips, very light, very sensual, not too much lip, no tongue. It wasn't a I want to lick your face off kiss, just a very light getting to know one another first real kiss. And I felt the lightning, I felt the chemistry, I felt the static electricity, and really I think this one little tiny kiss sent both of them over the moon. I saw Harmony be happier than she's really ever been, just a cute sweetness inside of her. I saw Neil being more happy than he's been in a really long time, and then also I saw Tucker in the background witnessing the kiss and then huffing off like grum grum grumble, I have no one, which is probably gonna, who knows, send him into Sharon's arms. He's officially got no one, or maybe Genevieve's, I don't know. But either way, I want to know what you guys think about this couple. Is it just me, or are you guys feeling them too? You gotta leave me a comment and let me know. It occurred to me this week that maybe the part of the reason that I am having such a difficult time adjusting to Adam and Chelsea's relationship might be because I don't know this actress, Melissa Claire Egan. I've never really been familiar with any of the ABC soaps. I have been watching YNR, as you know, since 1995, I believe, 1994. I watched Bold and the Beautiful just a little bit in the late 90s. I dabbled with Days just a little bit, just enough to know kind of what's going on. I sort of maybe barely know a couple of General Hospital characters, again, probably from the mid-90s. But for the most part, I don't know anything about All My Children. Didn't know anything about One Life to Live, Guiding Light. I didn't know anything about any of those shows. So there is that part of me that's in a YNR world bubble, and I don't know Melissa Claire Egan's, I believe that's her name. I don't know her from another show. I think that she was a liked character, I believe, from All My Children. People seem to like her, and if you knew her from that show and then all of a sudden you see her on YNR, you're probably already predisposed to like her. I have no frame of reference for her whatsoever. She's just some actress who came onto the show, as far as I'm concerned. And again, Adam, having been one of my all-time favorite YNR characters, all of a sudden it's this stranger coming in and taking the ultimate prize, taking Adam, and I don't know her, and I haven't built her up at all. I don't think YNR has done a very good job of building up her character to a point where I would know her. I mean, again, I'm a blank slate here, and I just don't feel like YNR has done a very good job with that. So it's just a thought that occurred to me this week. I have to continue to explore the reasons why I don't like Adam and Chelsea. And I, in contrast with Neil and Harmony, was thinking about that too, because we're really all predisposed to like things. We all have our own personal set of personal experiences as well as experiences with other soap operas, because I'm asking myself, why do I like Neil and Harmony and not Adam and Chelsea? And I think that there are a couple of reasons. I personally think that Harmony and Neil were built up a little bit more. They share a little bit more. But there is also that part of me that knows the history of Neil and Drew. So I'm predisposed. If I didn't know Drew, then I might not like Neil and Harmony together, but I make that connection between those characters being similar, and so that affects my perspective. I wanted to throw that out there. All of our perspectives affect who we like, what we don't like. I think everybody's kind of biased in their own way. Like I've said a million times, we're all just looking at the show through our own personal little windows, our stained glass windows, and it's all a projection. Everything that you like or don't like about the show, it's all a projection. So it's a projection of your values, of your likes, dislikes, your experiences, your relationships, your family, what's going on with your career. It just is what it is. So, but I like to continue to work through my own things through the show, through my own projection. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But this week, Chelsea came in and discovered that this website that Adam and Chloe and Kevin have been building has a competitor. There is another website very similar to Tag and Grab that's getting ready to launch. And of course, this freaks everyone out, especially Adam. Adam has pretty much, as I understand it, all of his money wrapped up in either Tag and Grab or this giant new mansion that he's bought. I don't think he has a whole lot left over, because I remember a conversation between he and Chelsea at the athletic club where he was saying that she was pretty much marveling at how much he was spending, and he said, hey, you go big or go home. And that's the truth. You gamble big and you take the risk of losing big. So Adam's not going to have that. He doesn't want to lose. Kevin and Chloe have a lot emotionally invested, as well as all of their other investors that they don't want to have to answer to. So everyone starts scrambling to get this website up and running, and Kevin decides to sweep in and save the day. One total thing, this is a total nerd note, but I do graphic design, web design, and just a tad little bit of web development. And I thought it was weird that all of a sudden someone else had a similar website, so they had to go in and redo the graphics. Why? Why did the graphics matter? It seemed like they just needed to launch the freaking site. That seemed like maybe I missed something, but I'm like, why do you need to redo the graphics just because someone else has a similar idea? Surely the graphics aren't exactly the same. That would be a weird coincidence, but just an FYI, a graphic designer is not a web designer, is not a web developer. So I was like, why all of a sudden is Kevin a web designer? So I thought Kevin was the web developer. I thought Kevin was like the computer hacker writing code kind of guy. But I don't know. I mean, some people are all things. I just wasn't aware that all of a sudden Kevin was. That was me being a total picky nerd. So I'm sorry. Forgive my picky nerdiness. Like, I just want at least some consistency there, Weiner. But anyway, whatever. They got it all up and running, and save the day. Tag and Grab is up. So is that it now? Or, like, is that the end of the Tag and Grab story? Is there going to be more? Everybody makes money and voila? I don't know. Is there... Let me know. You have to let me know what you think about that. Is there more to that story? Now, the kind of bigger story that's been sitting in the background a little bit, waiting to pop up and bubble up, is the issue between Chelsea and Victoria and Johnny. And I have to say, I do think that it was really nice of Chelsea this week to reach out to Victoria. Victoria's been a big ball of anxiety over whether or not Chelsea's going to take her child away. And I think some of that is also because Victoria has experienced that, and I think it's drudged up memories of what happened with Lucy for her, which probably is also why she is being so hard on Phyllis. But Victoria's been very worried about it. Chelsea and Adam have tried to do everything that they can do to reassure Victoria that they're not after the child, and Chelsea just sat down with Victoria this week and said, I want to let you know Adam and I are trying to have our own child, so there's no reason why I would want to take Johnny away from you, and I wanted to give you this information. It's not public. I just wanted to tell you because I was hoping to give you some peace on that matter. Just that's something that you don't have to worry about in your life, Victoria. You have plenty of other stuff to worry about. You don't need to worry about this. And if it's genuine, if it was genuine coming from Chelsea's part, which I think it was, then it's genuine. The only problem is I know in my heart that it's too good to be true. I got an awesome email from my new friend, podcast listener, Lucy, this week, and she gave me a really good theory about what's going to happen with Chelsea and Adam and Victoria, Billy and the baby, and I really think that this is what's going to happen. I think she predicted it right on. Her theory is that Chelsea is going to end up having some complications with getting pregnant. She went through that really difficult pregnancy with Johnny, and it may have possibly left her unable to conceive. And then that's going to leave it open for a motive to go after Johnny. If she can't have her own children with Adam, maybe all of a sudden things are going to start to look good. And, you know, if there's problems between Victoria and Billy, then that's just going to make the situation even worse. If Chelsea can't have children and starts to feel that there's some instability between Billy and Victoria, that might give her a reason to want to go after Johnny, to get Johnny back and to bring Johnny into her home with Adam and Chelsea. I feel that that's the case. That makes so much sense to me. I think that the olive branch that Chelsea extended to Victoria this week is probably just Y&R trying to establish that this was not their intentions all along. They didn't have negative intentions of taking Victoria's child away from her all along, but not being able to have a child is something that devastated Chelsea and Adam and would make them actually go after to get custody of Johnny. That, I think, is just a really interesting theory. I think it's really possible that's what's going to happen. Y&R has been building this idea of Adam and Chelsea in a family, and I think it's for a reason. And as much as I'm not an Adam and Chelsea fan, and honestly, even if you're an Adam and Chelsea fan, the truth is we should all know, every Y&R fan, if you've watched the show even for a little while, you should know, whether you like Adam and Chelsea or not, Y&R is not going to leave a happy couple happy for long. All right. You guys, that is gonna do it for me for this week. Those are all of my thoughts. Got them all out on the table, and now it's your turn. As always, it is a total pleasure to hear what you guys are thinking about the show. It means a lot to me to get your comments. I don't think you can really even understand how much it means to me to get your comments. You guys point me in directions that I wasn't expecting to go, and the Adam and Chelsea thing is a perfect example of that. So feel free to leave me your comments, likes, dislikes, anything you want to say about the show, behind the scenes of the show, what's going on, what your predictions are for the future. I can't wait to hear them. Oh, okay. Everybody, I hope that you've had a really good week, and I hope that you have a really good week next week. I'll be watching right along with you, thinking about the show. I'm looking forward to next Sunday so that I can talk all about it. Okay. I love you guys. See you next time. Bye.